The last continuation of the Iliad and the Odyssey. We all know the Iliad and the Odyssey, but how many have wondered where our knowledge comes from? For example, for the death of Achilles, since the Iliad ends with the death of Hector. Many may assume that the rest of the episodes before and after Achilles' wrath are the works of younger tragic poets, but in reality there were a number of epics about the before and after the Trojan War campaign. And all these videos are Creative Commons by Pixabay. Aren't they great? Now, all these epics here, common property of the Greeks and Romans who inspired their own epic poetry and survived until the first years of Christianity. Today there are only excerpts, but we have enough indirect information to be able to reconstruct an overview of them. All of them are earlier than 600 BC, and this shows an enormous wealth of epic poetry on which classical Greece rested. A, the Cypriots, the people from the island of Cyprus, just northwest of Israel. Homer himself is mentioned as their author, but also the Cypriot Stasinos or Salaminios, or the leadership of Halikarnassos. The date of their writing is unknown, but they spanned 11 books, the Iliad as we know it in 24. They describe the marriage of Peleus, the crisis of Paris, the education of Achilles by the centaur Chiron, the gathering of the Achaeans in Avlida, and the sacrifice of Iphigenia, and finally the murder of Troilus by Achilles by the altar of Apollo. B. Ethiopia. 5 books of Arctine of Milesius, with a probable date of their writing being 780 BC. They're describing the conflict between Achilles and the queen of the Amazons, Penthesilea, and even the crushing of Ethiopia Memnon, son of Eos and brother of Priam Tithonus. It continued with the death of Achilles by the arrow of Paris and the dispute between Aeandus and Odysseus, Ulysses that is, over the armor of the dead, which ends in Aeon's insanity and finally his suicide. C. Mikra Ilias. 4 books of unknown date, written by the Lesbian Club or Thestorides or Diodorus or Homer himself. They described the capture of the Trojan soothsayer Helen by Ulysses and the revelation by him that Ilion would fall only if his son Achilles Neoptolemus was armed with the bones of Pelops, and if the Achaeans also stole from the Trojans Palladion, a god of Palladium, Athena, the goddess Athena. Diomedes and Ulysses steal Palladian Athena, while the armor of Achilles, which Ulysses had won from Aeandus, is handed over to Neoptolemus. The description of the construction of the Trojan horse and the fall of Troy followed. D. Ilius Persis, the fall of Troy. 2 books by Arctinus of Milesus, which were probably a continuation of the Ethiopian. He described the fall of Troy as well as that of Aeneas, who is rescued by carrying his father Aegisthus on his shoulders. It continued with the rage of Cassandra inside the sanctuary of the goddess Athena by Aeantus, the Locrus, and the murders of Priam and the sons of Hector Astyanax by Neoptolemus. It ended with the sacrifice of the daughter of Priam, Polyxenes, on the tomb of Achilles. E. The Nostos, the Returns. 5 books of unknown date, of the Holy Treason or of an unknown colophon or possibly of Homer himself. They describe the return to their homeland of other heroes of the Trojan War, as well as the murder of Agamemnon and the punishment of Orestes. F. Telephony. 2 books by Kyrenaeus Evgamon, written about 600 BC. They were a continuation of the Odyssey and narrated after the return of Ulysses until his death at the hands of his own son with Kirke Telegonus. Aristotle, commenting on the works of the Trojan cycle, writes, "There is material here for many tragedies, and of course their influence on lyric poetry and the visual arts was and is enormous." This plethora of literature about the Trojan War is the collective remnant of a long, heroic tradition of professional rhapsodists who perform the sacred task of transmitting moral values under the veil of entertainment, as described to us in the Odyssey itself, narrates to Ulysses himself the construction of the Trojan horse. Homer's genius covers with its brilliance the information in a single body of this long tradition, which was the cohesive web of the 1,000-year triumphant course that marked humanity. And I've translated this for you from a Greek article, and all the videos here are Creative Commons by Pixabay. I hope you enjoy them. Not that they have any relevance to the whatever I've narrated for you, but they're just fun to watch, I guess. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.